Dark and bizarre, bizarre and dark, dark and bizarre. You ain't leaving with all you brought, hopeless and helpless, chained to a wall. The blade's getting closer, the open grave calls. Why, oh why did I read those words? My damnation's infernal. I thought Joe couldn't steal my soul, but horror springs eternal.
Oh my goodness. Man, look at that. That's an interesting setting. Let's try this. Wow. You know, I have my camera mounted here right in front of my screen. So when you see me do this, you're seeing me go, oh my God, that's what I look like without a beard. Holy, I remember this guy. He used to be the worst person I knew. Ooh. Anyway, let's get into it.
Trackers, get down with the retro. Retro trackers, Captain John and Commander Joe. Retro trackers, we love our Star Trek. Retro trackers, the nerd muscles get the facts. Retro trackers, get down with the retro. Retro trackers, let's get it done. Retro trackers, jumping back.
Scott knows what he's doing. Scott knows what he's doing. Welcome, red shirts and best space friends. It is so wonderful to be with you. Actually, worked really hard on this episode, all of us, and I got a feeling you're gonna like it. It's a really good one. Of course, I don't run things myself. I'm a captain, but I'm no captain. Luckily, I've got a great first officer, and he keeps everything going. Hello, Commander Joe Townsell. How are you, sir?
Well, I'm doing great, Captain, and I'm your faithful commander. And you know, I don't want to add to your workload or necessarily give anything away for the near future, but if there's a chance that we're going to be updating the opening theme, I hope if that's the case, those nerd muscles will still flex in any new theme we may come up with in the future. I hope.
You know, that is a very fair request. And the nerd muscles are, hey, speaking of which, here's our nerd muscle guy right now. CPO Eric Kramer is here, Chief Pettiness Officer. Mr. Kramer, how are you this evening?
Oh, good. You know, we do a lot of flexing down here. We're big on flexing.
You were just telling us.
We're all getting shirts that say flex this.
You were telling us about how you went to the gym today. I imagine you were, you put that weight belt thing that vibrates you. You might have been throwing the.
That's my favorite. Yeah, that's my favorite thing. Is the vibrator vibrating?
Wow. Quick qualification there. Yes, very retro with that.
And then a steam. You probably went into the cabinet where your head sticks out for a good steam.
Yep. Oh man, why don't we still have all that stuff?
I don't know. It was one of my favorite gags they ever did on Seinfeld was Lloyd Bridges being the personal trainer.
I never saw that.
Oh,
but it already sounds great.
Oh, you gotta check them. I can't remember.
Like that steamer with the. We can't like do that on the holodeck, and we probably don't even have a holodeck on this piece of shit.
Oh, we just
never works.
Oh, it just doesn't work.
Right.
Yeah. No. It broke while somebody was in a hologram called Candyland, and you can only get through if you can collect enough pudding pieces. And I always end up in the molasses swamp. So, hey, get to work animating that, Townsend, will you?
The wheels are already turning, sir. Believe me.
All right, I didn't load it up. I should have loaded it up. Gosh darn it. Let us talk about tonight's episode. My goodness, what a dilly it is. Folks, we're talking about the inner light from Star Trek The Next Generation. And let's just get right into it, shall we? This is an interesting episode on many, many levels, but it doesn't have the biggest genesis in the world. There are some nice things that were put into this episode. First off, this is from season 5. Now, I always like to categorize the seasons in my head. I don't waste time telling people about it often. But season 5 was one hell of a season. And it had a lot of great episodes in it. This is the 25th episode of season 5. It is, of course, called The Inner Light. The teleplay is by Morgan Gendel and Peter Allen Fields. Story by Morgan Gendel. It had a ton of rewrites. It was actually being written by a lot of people before it was handed to Morgan Gendel. It is directed by Peter Lauritsen. Peter Lauritsen is one of the many people that you'll run into in the production side of Star Trek who would later get behind the camera. And he did a lot of second unit directing. There are only 2 episodes of Next Generation that he directed, and then just a couple more with other series. But the ones he did were Gambit Part 1, which was kind of an all over the place sort of episode. It has a lot of adventure, Raiders of the Lost Ark kind of elements to it. Ronald D. Moore does call it, the giant MacGuffin storyline. But the other episode of TNG that Lauritsen directed was The Inner Light. And we'll get into how we feel about his work on this. But I do want to tell you this one story. They had proposed this as an episode for the whole, basically the bridge crew. And they were all going to go through this. And it was Martin Gendel. I'm getting his name right, correct? Morgan Gendel, who found it on the pile of discarded ideas and said, there's a thing that we have in Judaism. This is him talking. There's a thing we have in Judaism where we always try to remember for the people who aren't there. We try to remember that their lives existed. We try to remember that their families existed. And he brought that to this storyline. And I have to say, it comes through very beautifully and very uniquely. So guys, that's it for Genesis. Do you want to jump right into the beats?
I think so, because the sooner the beats are done, the sooner we can all just get down and dirty. I know that Eric's got some great opinions about this, which I share. So yeah, let's get into it. That was last week.
We've all pondered the path not taken.
I shame on me. The intro. I love saying that every week. All right. Let's get to it.
Is put on an alien path against their will, and then forced to follow it. Jean-Luc Picard finds out. Retro Trekkers invite you to join us as we bask in the inner light from Star Trek: The Next Generation. Weird-looking probe off the starboard bow, Captain. Permission to blow it out of the stars. Easy, Mr. Worf. It looks harmless enough. Let's look at it for another minute or so. Ah, but that's a bad move, Jean-Luc. The thingy in space drills into his mind, and he falls like a ton of bricks onto the bridge floor. Oh, good! Riker is reassuring him as the screen fades to white. When the captain wakes up, he's looking into the eyes of some woman who keeps calling him Cayman.
She's gorgeous.
Well, Jean-Luc flips out. Holodeck! In program! Oh, sorry, no dice. The kind woman is confused. What the heck is a holodeck? I am your wife. Goodbye, Starfleet life. Planet Catan, we are here.
I've never looked better.
Picard has no desire to steal the identity of some Catan guy named Cayman. Is it some kind of diabolical alien mind fudge? Jean-Luc decides to play along, for a little while at least. Picard decides to take a stroll, in the only scene shot on location for this episode. Pretty place, but it's no Risa. Well, with no other place to go, he returns to the quaint domicile of his pretend wifey. After she admonishes Jean-Luc for getting home late, she serves up some Catan Dintimore stew, which he finds quite tasty. Okay, hubby, you might as well forget that Jean-Luc nonsense. Your name is Cayman. This is the planet Catan, and I'm your wife, Eileen. You're not in the Federation anymore, and no amount of clicking the heels of your red shoes together is going to get you back there. Got it? Good. Now, let's hit the sack lever, boy. Cayman's delusions about having lived another life of exploring the final frontier are the least of his problems. He learns that he now resides in the community of Resic. It's a pleasant community, other than the harsh studio lights standing in for real sunshine. All the plants look pretty peaked, even some of the people. A brutal and never-ending drought has taken hold. But the thirsty villagers haven't given up hope. Especially a kindly chap named Bataille, community leader and best buddy to Cayman. Bataille offers a symbol of hope. He has authorized the planting of a new sapling. Only catch is, everyone has to give up some of their precious H2O to keep it alive. But hey, hope springs eternal. Bataille also begins to help Cayman rebuild his memories and put to rest those pesky fantasies about some mythical place called Starfleet. But Picard is still skeptical. And who can blame him? He's been transplanted, kicking and screaming into a whole new life. That night, he quizzes Eileen further. It turns out that Catan is a pre-warp civilization. Very interesting that they're getting ready to launch rockets into space, but can't make it rain. That kind of sounds like the professor being able to build a nuclear reactor with 2 coconuts, but somehow he can't patch a 2-foot hole in the minnow. Picard also learns that, as Cayman, he's an iron weaver, and he likes to play his flute, but is pretty bad at it. He sees Eileen's pendant, which is shaped just like the alien thingy in space that zapped Jean-Luc. Again? Well, now the captain just doesn't know what to think. Are Eileen and Bataille right? Has he been Cayman all along? And this Jean-Luc Picard person is only a figment of his imagination? Finding out will be very suspenseful.
Yeah.
Well, then again, maybe not. Next, we return to the Enterprise to find Jean-Luc still knocked out and lying on the floor. Dr. Crusher takes his vitals and tells Riker that the captain's brain activity is off the charts. Back on Catan, 5 years have passed. Cayman is still clinging to that other life he had in space. He peers into a telescope for hours on end, just in case the Enterprise happens to fly by. He also spends a lot of time wandering through the hills. All of this is off camera, of course, since we've already used our location shooting budget for this episode. Well, Aline's patience is wearing pretty thin. One night, Bataille is overstaying his welcome, at least as far as Aline is concerned. She kicks him out, and then lectures Cayman about not putting his shoes away. Then, she apologizes for being such a nag. But at least Cayman is invested in helping the community. He has some ideas about dealing with the drought, which has ravaged the planet for years. Cayman appeals to a closed-minded bureaucrat, but his pleas fall on deaf ears. The politician isn't interested in investing any time or money into something as techno-babble sounding as atmospheric condensers. Well, no matter, Bataille. We'll just build one of our own. Bataille is a little bummed that Cayman's idea didn't fly, but is happy that his friend is again a pillar of the community. That evening, Cayman is playing his flute. 5 years of practice haven't improved his musical skills that much. Cayman asks for his wife's consent for his new construction project. He wants to build a nursery, and not the kind for plants. Well, Aline agrees enthusiastically. Oh, almost forgot. Let's check in on the Enterprise. Turns out that the beam emitted from the probe has been analyzed. There is a way to reflect it back and disrupt it, possibly severing the link to Captain Picard. Another time jump on Catan. You can tell Cayman is older because his hair is longer. Where is Mr. Mott when you really need him? Also, there's a cute little girl named Maribor prancing about. Hey, and look at Aline. She's holding their brand new baby boy. This is a naming ceremony, and the infant has been named after Bataille, Cayman's loyal friend who has passed away. Aline wanted to name the kid James Tiberius, but Cayman shot that down real quick. Back to the Enterprise. Data attempts to disrupt the beam. Back to Catan. Cayman gets a sudden and severe migraine. On the Enterprise, Picard starts twitching. He's having a heart attack in both realities. This sucks. Data, stop what you're doing. In moments, both Picard and Cayman relax. Turns out pulling the knife out of the wound will not be so simple after all. On Catan, another 15 years fly by. Cayman is having a heart-to-heart with daughter Maribor, now grown up and analyzing soil samples. Bad news, Pop. This dirt is dead. It's not just a very long drought. Catan is heading the way of the dinosaurs. Dad, if I'm going to get hitched, best do it sooner than later. Cayman gives his blessing. On the Enterprise, Geordi and Dava have more info. The probe came from the planet Catan, which was destroyed by a supernova 1,000 years ago. Another time jump back on Catan. Enough years have passed that Cayman and Aline are both collecting Social Security. Hubby is peering through the telescope, another pastime that Maribor has also inherited from her father. Cayman scolds his wifey, who is out of bed after a recent surgery. Oh, you worry too much, hubby, but I love you for it. But our son, Bataille, wants to talk to you. Bataille is inside playing his flute, the same non-functional prop his dad could never quite master. He comes outside to tell Cayman that he wants to drop out of school and concentrate on his music. Hey, didn't we see a hippie who dropped out to be a musician in last week's Retro Trekkers? Oh well. Well, Cayman calls BS at first, but relents. Aline is surprised. Hey, the kid might as well make the most of his youth. Like me, he'll lose his hair soon. Oh, and not only that, but it looks like the sun's going to swallow the planet. Besides, Kamen has his own problems. He's been a pain in the ass for the politicians. He's worried that the bureaucrat from earlier in the episode is going to send him packing. But surprisingly, that doesn't happen. In fact, the bureaucrat admits they've come to the same conclusions as Kamen. The planet Catan is doomed. The politician reveals that there is a plan to save something of their world, but the details are top secret. Just then, Kamen's son Batai comes running up. He tells his father to come home quick. Something is very wrong with Mom. Tragically, Eileen is dying. She shoos Batai out of the room so she can have her final alone time with her husband. As Eileen draws her last breath, she reminds Kamen that now he'll have to put his own shoes away. Eileen passes away, and Kamen weeps. Many years pass. Kamen is now ancient, looking almost as old as Keith Richards. Carelessly applied prosthetics cling for dear life on Patrick Stewart's face. But Kamen is having fun chasing his little grandson around the room. At the same time, grumpy old Kamen is bemoaning the reality that his little namesake will never get the rich, full life the little tyke deserves. Enter a more mature Maribor. Time to watch the big launching, Dad. Kamen couldn't care less, but reluctantly finds a seat outside in the killer sunlight. Despite himself, Kamen marvels at the probe propelling their heritage into space. You've seen it before, darling. Kamen can't believe he's seeing his beloved Eileen, alive and young again, as when he first met her. His loyal friend, Batai, is also there. They confirm that what they've launched is the same probe the Enterprise encountered in space. Overwhelmed with grief, happiness, and some relief, the simulation concludes. The program has ended, after all. Kamen is Jean-Luc again. He's in his quarters, reflecting on this life-changing experience. He lived more than 40 years as Kamen of Catan, while only the duration of a TV episode passed in real time. There's a knock at the door. It's Riker. He confirms that the probe is burnt out and is now only space junk. But inside was a small box. Riker leaves a stunned card to his thoughts. The captain opens the box and finds the flute that he learned to play as Kamen. He then plays the same tune he performed at the naming ceremony, celebrating the birth of the son he never really had. This gives Jean-Luc comfort going forward. The flute will give him pleasure as well when he meets his lovely new head of Stellar Science Services, Nella Darren, the following year. They will play a lovely duet together and fall for each other. But that's another love story.
I feel like I've just spent the last 10 minutes laughing during church.
And crying a little bit. I need to say,
Sorry.
that's good.
Yes, Mr. Townsville.
I was just going to make two quick comments about the beats before we moved on to Down and Dirty. Number one, having looked at it here, I wish I chose a more recognizable picture of Eric for the skipper, because I think it's actually Eric in that picture. But anyway, if it wasn't recognizable, that's on me. Because as John said, Eric did a phenomenal job portraying Alan Hell Jr. and the skipper in Surviving Gilligan's Island.
Absolutely.
Wonderful TV movie on YouTube. Find it. And number two, I just have
That'll
to.
make you weep too at the end.
It will.
Yeah.
It actually will.
Yeah.
Those slow movies, holy shit!
And number two, I want to share one trade secret. I'm not sure John even picked this up, but his son in the picture frame is actually John from Homeboys in Outer Space.
Oh my God.
I had to get a screen capture from when we did it last year.
Oh dear Lord. Oh my goodness. Well, handsome kid, good looking kid.
Great looking family, except for the wife.
I wish the kids took after their mother a little more, honestly. Yeah, let's get down and dirty on this one. Holy cow, what an episode. Jeepers creepers. Kramer, let's start with you first because Joe and I have both let a little steam off already. How do you feel about this episode?
I loved it. It's great writing. Like it's a great story. It's great writing. My only bitch with it is that why do we have to go back to the Enterprise?
Right. Cutting back and forth.
Why do we have to do that?
Yeah.
Try and create one moment of, oh, this may all go south. Well, I mean, look, here's the thing about television, especially then.
Yeah.
We all know nobody's gonna die. We all know nobody, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like nobody is going to, but maybe you can lead your audience to believe that this other version of Picard exists in this other universe, right?
Right.
Maybe there's something where this actually happens. And the minute you cut back and see Picard on the floor, you're like, oh, okay, this is going to be one of those episodes. I would much rather he wakes up with her and then you just follow his story, his life. I mean, there's so much I love in this. I love the fact that he doesn't come in as like the hero and fucking saves everybody.
Yeah.
In fact, everybody sidelines him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that, and I get part of that is just so that he has to live the life, but he doesn't suddenly become the hero of the town. You know what I mean? He suddenly just create water for everybody and provide answers for everybody. And I love that he's a bit of an ornery old fuck.
Bit of a cuss.
Opinionated, little hard on his kids, just like it's kind of great. You see him as a real human being. You know what I mean?
I loved that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what for me, just going back to the Enterprise spoils that. Like the story is on the planet. Like leave it there.
Well, it definitely kills the mystery. And as Eric says, we know that's not going to be a permanent change, but I think it was handled a little bit. That aspect of it was handled better in a later episode called Frame of Mind, where Riker thinks he's in an insane asylum on an alien planet. And you kind of wondered there for a little bit, is this actually a figment of his imagination? We knew it wasn't, but there was nothing to reveal that it was all an illusion 10 minutes in,
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. The kind of bottle that they build this episode in, I think they were playing on something. And I'm going to just throw up this banner, even though it's missing a word. But and I don't want that to be a ticker. Good heavens. Sorry, guys. This is something that I thought might actually be apropos. And that is, by the time this episode comes up in Star Trek Next Generation, we know of 3 very significant times that Picard has been kidnapped. So in the episode Allegiance, kidnapped and thrown into jail, thrown into like alien jail. Best of Both Worlds, kidnapped by the Borg, essentially maimed and turned into one of the Borg. His personality almost completely stripped away. He recovers from that, we know, with great difficulty. And in this very season is Darmok, in which he is kidnapped by the magical aliens to have to deal with an alien he's never met before, with whom he cannot easily communicate. And so I did appreciate his extreme reaction at the very beginning, because this guy's been kidnapped a few times. He would have a pretty big reaction to that.
Of course, he would have a big reaction to that. And of course, after living 40 years in pretend time, as it were, really builds on that. And the only other time I can think of, John asked me about this before the show, and these are definitely the three instances leading up to these events. Probably the most famous one after this would be Chain of Command in season 6.
Right.
That's about it, So he's had some experience, but it's still something that really shakes him to the core when it's major.
Yeah. This is a good question from Scott. We can only guess at the answer, but how do you feel about this? And I'll start with you, Mr. Kramer. Is Kanan a real person from there that Picard inhabits? Or did they create, I think what Scott's asking is, or did they create a guy for the visitor?
I mean, I feel maybe it's a little of both. Maybe it was a guy that actually existed, but Picard makes it his own to do some real actory, cheesy. You know what I mean?
Oh, there's a lot of that in this.
Obviously, they built a base for it. So what's the easiest way to do that is to take it from somebody who already existed.
Here's another question that Scott asks, which I also thought about. I see. He corrected.
Joel.
It's not Joel. Joel is Joe's relative from Krypton.
That's right.
It did feel kind of Jor-El-y, this character, though I have to agree with Eric. He did not become this attempted savior that Jor-El, of course, is in the Superman story. And I liked that. I liked that Kanan is not so extraordinary. Because that would have been too easy, I think.
He's like the everyman, right? So it's what a better way to represent a culture or a people than the average Joe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, I think agreeing with both of you, yes, that the best way to represent the culture and the heritage. I always kind of figured that all the players are amalgams.
Yeah.
To create the most typical, everyday type of experience possible for whoever they found later in space.
That makes so much sense, and that there's a sort of an easy occupation of that role. That makes a lot of sense to me. Here's another thing I wanted to throw out, and I don't know, maybe I'm just getting old and sentimental. I definitely am. I wouldn't argue with anyone who points that out. It seems to me that this episode is about love. It's in order for you to feel the loss, you have to feel the love.
Yeah.
And that brings me to, I don't want to jump the gun getting into MVP, but the character of Eileen so much rests upon her and upon the incredible actress that played her, Margot Rose. Eric, have you ever met Margot Rose out there?
No.
She's guest starred in a million things. I couldn't find any other role that she had played that I could recognize. She did appear later in a Deep Space Nine episode as a completely different character in a very interesting episode that Joe knows about.
What do you want? Do you want a tidbit in advance with Margot Rose?
Please, yeah.
She played Denise Crosby's character's roommate in 48 Hours.
That's right.
Oh my God. Okay.
That's right. And she is so extraordinary in this. She's not too beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, she's very patient, but she's afraid.
Mm-hmm.
She clearly loves him right from the get. I mean, we didn't have to have a whole lot in the script that says how much she loves him, because the actor did so much of that work. You know, thinking of it from the point of view of a director, Kramer, could you have asked for more than what Margot Rose did?
You can always ask for more, God damn it. She was wonderful. Like here's the thing. That character on the page is really very simply written. And she took that very simple writing and made that a really warm, lovable, you know, not heart-wrenching, but I mean just a character that was completely three-dimensional and full of heart.
Yeah, not heart-wrenching, heartwarming, and definitely a lovely person. You know, that's another way to look at it.
You know,
and that's what makes this episode work, is the relationship between him and her.
Yes. Yeah. Like, if we can't believe that, if they just hired central casting Pretty Woman, if they just hired your average, I always say this, especially about Next Generation casting, they would raid the casting offices of daytime television. That's where they got so many of their guest stars. Not a bad thing, because they would also pull a lot from like Second City. I mean, they would pull a lot of interesting actors in, but they could have gone really bland with her, and still it would have been fine.
Yeah.
But to get somebody who's like on that Kate Mulgrew level of a textured character, who's not all good, and who is not beautiful, but very beautiful.
Yes.
You know, not lovely in every sense of the word, but lovely. I'm kind of tipping my hand as to who my MVP is going to be here. I'll tell you, it should be Margot Rose. It's not.
Okay.
Too obvious for me. Oh, let's talk about that. No. We can do any of this. It is our sandbox. We can make the sandcastles any size we want. Let's haven't heard from you in a little bit, Mr. Townsend. Who is your MVP for the weekend? Chat, I want to hear your MVPs as well.
Well, I'll tell you what, I have to be honest. I was in my mind the last few minutes thinking, okay, let me pick option B, because John's leaning pretty heavily toward Margot Rose and Elaine. And since you didn't make that choice, I did.
Yeah.
I think that the character of Elaine was the primary mover of the episode's events. For the longest time, Kamen was just reacting.
Good point.
And she was the one that was causing things to move forward. And the thing is, she didn't just start loving Kamen when Jean-Luc appeared. I mean, the basis is that they have been a loving, married couple for quite some time. Years, exactly. So the fact that, I have personal experience with challenges that can be presented by somebody who is injured or has some degree of mental issues, perhaps, and to stand by that person and keep loving them through sometimes years of recovery. Yeah, that's a special person. Absolutely. And I have to give it to the character and the performer.
Wow. I cannot argue with that. Mr. Kramer, how are you feeling about your MVP?
Yeah, I mean, my MVP is actually two. It's him and her. I mean, what's great is we get to see a a side. Patrick Stewart gets to show you a side of Picard that we don't see. Like that, you know what I mean? He could have just been Picard throughout that entire thing, but he
Right.
wasn't.
Right.
Like he became this guy. You weren't looking at him as Picard by the end of the episode, right?
No. Yeah.
And so that to me, even through all that horrible fucking makeup,
It was pretty bad.
really horrible, right? But I mean, that's and especially like that many seasons into it, to be
Yeah.
able to sort of pull that off is amazing. And here's the thing, he couldn't have done it without her.
Right.
Like he
Yeah.
didn't have somebody to play off of who wasn't feeding him and driving him, then that doesn't happen. So I don't think you can give it to him without giving it to her, and I don't think you can give it to her without giving it to him.
Let's
Good point.
also
They were a team in that sense, exactly.
Yeah.
very much, and that's a big part of the story. Like it was a good marriage because they're a team,
Mm.
and she's so good at like, you know what, I've been nagging you all day. Like she, you know, it's a good relationship. I don't know if I would say it was idealized, but maybe a little. I mean, not everybody has somebody like Aileen.
Well, you're also, I mean, you know, and here's the other thing is that because you're looking at it 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, you're looking at the best parts of their relationship. So you have to assume within that 40 years, they've definitely had their ups and downs.
right.
But no, but you know, she you know, good-hearted woman in love with a good-timing man.
Oh boy, that gets me. That they
Well-
elevated each other's performances, which is what great actors do.
Which is what it's supposed
Well,
to do.
something we never saw, and I'm glad we didn't, because that would have been overkill and fan service. But I have a theory that maybe the real Aileen was part of the scientific team that made the probe happen, and she injected a lot of herself into that scenario.
Maybe I'm still not convinced that they didn't exist, but that could just be my sentimental heart, you know, going,
Well,
no, they
here's
were
the thing,
real.
If you really want to blow that up, and Picard has free will, they may never have had kids. Picard may never have had. Do you know what I mean? Like that can go the other way.
Right.
Like Picard can go, fuck this, and like goes off and lives in the hills somewhere. Or
Right.
he becomes, you know, Kwai Chang Kane and, you know, just goes from city to city, right?
Or tries to build his transmitter and go to the highest mountain and not engage.
You're assuming he has free will and they're not imposing this on him.
You want to hear something really horrifying now that Eric brought that up? What if the probe attached itself to Riker? Would Elaine have green skin and dance around in a bikini or something like that?
That was another question I kept asking, which was, how was this so perfect that it went, you know, it recognized Picard and it didn't jump in somebody else's head or Worf. Worf was right
I mean,
behind.
obviously, it may have been sophisticated enough. He was the leader. He was the guy in charge. You know what I mean? So if Picard's not on the bridge or if Picard's on shore leave somewhere, then it's Riker.
Well, and there's the intro to another tidbit, which I'll address in the tidbits. So
Oh,
don't
good.
worry. Yeah.
Oh, good. Well, I wanted to pull out Mike Saunders' statements. I think the story is almost bulletproof in that lesser actors could still work in it. Yeah, I think so. But
Yeah.
Stewart and Rose really elevate it to something special, especially Stewart.
And you suddenly remember what a good-looking dude Picard was.
Yeah.
Or Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
Patrick Stewart.
Like a strong, like he was older, sure, but definitely leading man material.
Oh, absolutely. You know, that's one of the things that I don't know if I ever tell this story as much, but you know, my wife and I were doing comedy in clubs, and so we weren't really watching Star Trek. And it wasn't until major cities would they would play an episode on like Friday night or maybe Saturday during the day or at night, and then they'd like replay an episode, usually last week's episode, at like 11 p.m. or midnight on one of those affiliate stations. And so we kind of got back into it. At first we both rejected it. We didn't like it very much, but when we moved in together, we had a lot of time. We started watching it again, and it was all based on like those peaks from Next Generation. One of them being the character of Data is a great character. Another one being an episode like this one or like Darmok. Those episodes are just great science fiction, just really good concepts. But the main thing was Patrick Stewart is the shit.
Yeah.
Great actor.
Patrick Stewart is absolutely the anchor in that show. Like not even close. I mean, there's nobody without Picard, without what Patrick Stewart turned that character into, you don't have a Next Generation.
I agree. There are a lot of different ways they were gonna go. By getting Patrick Stewart, getting somebody from the Royal Shakespeare Company, getting somebody who really understands stakes.
Yeah.
And how, his reactions to things can convey how powerful these things are. A great actor. I'm sorry. I love John Frakes. I love him.
I do too. Great guy.
They are not the same. They are not the same kind of actor, which is a great reason.
Anytime you see Riker take over the Enterprise, it's like, thank God they got Picard.
Well, not only that, but we can put Spock on an equal footing with Kirk most of the time and vice versa. But the reality is that Riker and Data were basically Spock divided in two in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, the Patrick Stewart was sort of like the Next Generation Star Trek character.
Yeah.
And Riker was Bill Shatner. Data was Leonard Nimoy, and so on and so forth.
The swaggering space cowboy. That's
yeah.
Like
you do need that.
Yeah.
And like I say, I love Jonathan Frakes. I think he's
I love how Frakes went from what he was to what he is now.
That journey too. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know that anyone knows Trek better right now than
Great
Frakes.
dude, solid director, and just opinionated enough. He's a great guy. Phenomenal.
Yeah. Okay, so MVP, did you get yours out, Eric?
Yes, I split mine.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with casting on this one.
Oh, interesting.
At first, I was just simply in love with Margot Rose. That's all I had going for me. And then, so Jennifer Nash plays Maribor, the grown-up Maribor. She looks and sounds so much like the child of Patrick Stewart and Margot Rose. And she's a good actor. She's a good little actor. And I don't want to ruin a tidbit, but the son was well cast as well. And I'll just leave it at that and let Joe have that one. I think a lot of people in the comments, I think a lot of you guys are going with Margot Rose. I totally believe it. Patrick Stewart, clearly fantastic. Hey, let's jump to let's get some delicious tidbits out on the table because we got some great ones. Actually, one or two was brought up in the chat already.
Yep.
But this is Joe Townsel's domain. So, Joe, I'll let you run Townsend's tidbits, of course.
Well, maybe so named, but of course it belongs to all of us. And I do appreciate you leaving me a little segue into the first one, which is my personal favorite. Yes, Cayman's son was played by Daniel Stewart, Patrick Stewart's real son. Phenomenal casting, and he's a good actor in his own right. I did feel for the poor guy because he had to be fitted for a toupee in his first scene, which he later could dispose of later on when he got older in the show.
There was
Hence my bad joke that he would lose his hair too.
Yes. Well, I mean, remember, I don't remember names of titles of episodes very well, but there is the son that he meets during Next Generation, and who turns out to be a clone, I guess.
He's just a fake. He's a real guy. He's not. It was just a big con, and actually that one escapes me too. It's one of the lesser 7th season episodes, but yeah.
It's got a very funny moment where Picard thinks this is his son, and he looks at his full head of hair.
Oh, I remember that episode. Yeah.
Says, I've got some very bad news about the future of your hair.
It was actually a follow-up to Damon Bach.
They can cure cancer. They can't grow hair.
Nemesis, yes, another example of a clone played by Tom Hardy.
Forever to realize that was Tom Hardy.
Is that not just an absolute freak out when you realize?
Holy shit! Like I'm like, who'd they get? Like this guy is a pretty good match for. Like you believed it.
Yes.
And then it took me forever, like a year after I saw it, that I went, motherfucker, that's Tom Hardy.
Well, and then Tom Hardy just naturally develops into a much different looking fella and becomes like this big buff dude. It's kind of
wild.
wild.
He goes and wins martial arts tournaments. he may be the coolest guy on the planet right now, Tom Hardy.
I forgot all about that. Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, and kudos to Tom Hardy for bouncing back from Nemesis because, like most of the other actors under that director, Stuart Baird, I think his name is.
Yeah.
Miserable experience for him, apparently.
He actually said after that movie came out, he thought he was a crap actor and he should just quit. And
I thought he held his own. I mean, I did not like the movie at all, but yeah. I honestly thought he held his own. It's sort of like, you know what I mean? You recognize really good actors in bad situations.
Oh yeah.
Know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a delight. Do I have a tidbit? I thought I had a tidbit here. No, I'm going to go back to you, Joe. What's your next tidbit, sir?
All righty. Well, not surprisingly, Patrick Stewart has said this was his most satisfying acting achievement and challenge. So I can definitely understand that.
Yes.
The episode was an award winner. It won the 1993 Hugo Award for the best dramatic presentation. Definitely see that.
Nominated for outstanding individual achievement in makeup.
Really? Yes, that too. So nominated, but didn't win, unfortunately. They didn't reach new heights in aging makeup with this one, unfortunately.
The thing is, they could have gone so much simpler and still sold it.
Yes.
You know? Like
Good
they
Lord.
didn't have to go full Mission Impossible with the fucking makeup.
You know what it reminded me of, and it just makes me so sad. It reminded me of the Suliban.
Oh yeah.
F. Murray Abraham in which movie was that, Joe?
Insurrection.
In Star Trek Insurrection, F. Murray Abraham. They're the aliens that get their faces stretched.
Oh, right.
They get their faces stretched. I feel like the same makeup people. Westmore, right? Did the makeup on this one. Why did
I believe so.
That? It looked terrible. Westmore is an award winner, so let's just say he had a bad day for an entire week.
Well, I mean, I don't know if that's, HD television exposed. I mean, maybe you're creating makeup for the medium that you're currently shooting in.
That's a good
But
point.
God
It is.
knows it doesn't. God knows it doesn't play now.
But like you, Eric, I also thought that the one single scene with an aged Patrick Stewart that I thought was most effective, for that was when Eileen died, and Stewart just bends over and you can see liver spots and other aging on his head.
Yeah,
That to me was more convincing than all this stuff.
yeah. Like you could have gone so much simpler.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
really sold it, and just let the acting do the bit. And that was really the only scene I was kind of disappointed in, was that deathbed scene. One, I've never seen anybody die so quick.
That was quick.
Two, it just seemed to be, for the first time, it just seemed to be missing something from the two of them. Like it just didn't feel. I kind of walked away from that feeling a little unsatisfied.
Let me ask you, I mean, because as much as I want to give Peter Lorreson great credit for the emotional weight that he directed in this episode, it looked to me, Eric, did it look to you like these close-ups were so extreme that maybe
I didn't like that. Okay, so we're really good at fixing these episodes. Fix this.
fix it.
Let's fix this. So here's what you do. First of all, you don't fucking cut face to face. It's a fucking deathbed scene. You want to see the two of them, right?
Yeah.
So she goes, you know what the fix is? She goes, you know what? I want to spend some time with my husband. Absolutely. By the way, now I guess back then musical was code for. Anyway, so he leaves, right? And then what you go, you know what? You go to a two shot of just the end is coming. So you just go to a two shot, you lose the put your shoes in the house and the stuff.
Yeah.
And you just have the shot of the two of them.
Yeah.
And then you just slowly pull
Yeah.
away. And as you're pulling away, maybe she slumps, passes a little bit.
Yeah.
And then Patrick Stewart gets to have that moment that his wife passed.
Here's something they did do right. And it wasn't it was Margot Rose. She does that, kind of like I'm falling asleep. And did you notice the tear?
Yeah. That was lost in the makeup, by the way.
I will remember that forever. That is so sad.
It is sad, but you know what? Too much for that character.
Oh, okay.
Like
Okay,
she's
fair.
accepted it. Like
Fair.
she knows where she's at.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I think it's a stronger play that she's happy to have had the life with him, especially when this goes to where it goes.
Yeah.
To where she comes back and goes.
But would that play better if we knew that the tear was not for herself, but for Kamen, for her husband? How's he going to do after this?
I think again, like that, the deathbed scene was the only scene that I was like, oh, come on.
I guess I can only guess that was an accident, and it happened because when you're lying on your back with the lights shining right in your face, you're going to produce tears, and I feel like it was pooled.
I actually disagree with that. I think the two of them worked so well together that when they turned around on her close-up, because they did his first,
right?
that when they turned around on her, and Patrick Stewart, like, also great fucking human being, really solid actor.
Yes.
That when they turned it around on her, he didn't fucking call it in.
Nope.
Like he played that scene with her, and I guarantee you that tear came from the fact that the two of them just connected.
Yeah.
And
on
this was probably the last scene this was the last scene they were going to shoot together as husband and wife.
right. You know what I mean?
That
So I
makes a
think
lot of sense.
because that happens. I think
Oh, God, yeah.
I think she got surprised by the tear, and I don't blame her. I don't blame her at all. I mean, I just think the stronger choice is, I'm just so glad to have had the life I had with you.
Right.
Since we're
leaving you.
Since we're fixing a near perfect episode, may I offer my 2 cents? This fix, which would have been impossible, would have caused programming nightmares throughout syndication land, but it has something in common with the episode Birthright. They had to pad that one out with a Dr. Bashir subplot, which was ridiculous. And here's what I'm getting at. This and that episode would have made a perfect 90-minute show.
Oh.
And one reason I say that about The Inner Light is that with a little more time, maybe the death scene would have had even more of a profound impact, if not so quick.
You know what?
We could have done without the jumping
Don't cut back to the fucking Enterprise.
Well, that's what I'm getting at, Eric, is that I think one reason we went back and forth on the Enterprise was because in the 60-minute slot, it made the time jumps on Catan less, it would have made it less jarring without those back and forths. And we probably could have avoided that in a longer length.
It also made it feel like what they were doing to Picard, they did in time jumps instead of the fact that he actually lived a 40-year life.
Exactly.
I want to throw a tidbit in there that Mike Sauter scouted quite well. The Beatles' The Inner Light by George Harrison. Here's the sample lyric. Without going out of my door, I can know all things of earth. Without looking out my window, I could know the ways of heaven. Morgan Gendel actually said, he revealed that the episode's title is an in-joke. The Inner Light was the B-side of Lady Madonna. Gendel says, I thought it would be fun to give every Star Trek episode I wrote a title that's from a different obscure Beatles song. I wanted to call Starship Mine Revolution, but they had already used Evolution.
Oh.
This was just a little joke between me and me, which I kind of love.
Great story, but also in completely appropriate title.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, I love that story. I love that it was an inner joke. Also happens to be a perfect title for this episode.
Great writers can do great writer things. Gotta love that.
If I'm including that statement, John, I thank you, sir. And
oh, absolutely.
I do have 2 more. I know we're past our hour mark, but if I can give you 2 more. Number 1, this was voted at the 30th anniversary of Star Trek convention in Vegas as the 3rd best ever Star Trek episode behind City on the Edge of Forever and In a Mirror Dark. Excuse me.
Wow.
In the Pale Moonlight.
Wow.
Both of which you've covered previously. So if you haven't seen those, check them out on Weber Internet Thingy.
Wow.
And the last one I have, which I just think is really resonates and wraps up the points of this very poignant episode. When Kamen talks to Maribor.
Oh my God, yeah.
And urges her, make the most of now, because now will never come again. Such a great sentiment, such a great point. It was pretty much virtually reused at the end of Star Trek Generations.
So good, in fact, that you reused it. Actually, yeah. Morgan Gendel did say that was one of the things that Jewish parents say to Jewish children when thinking about the Holocaust. The future is never guaranteed. Now is one of the most important things in life. It's important for everybody. It's such as soon as I read it before I watched the episode. And then when I watched the episode, it hit me each time.
Mm-hmm.
Am I just an old sentimental fool?
No, you said that before, and I'm going to wholeheartedly disagree with you on that sentiment. I'm being totally serious, gang. So make fun if you will, but John, you are not an old sentimental fool. You are a compassionate, kind, and loving person, and that's why it affects you. It affects Eric and me and everyone else in our audience the exact same way.
With some life experience. Like that's where
Exactly.
that's where I'll lean into on John's side. Because yeah, boy, you get some life experience under your belt, and suddenly all this stuff starts hitting
Oh, absolutely.
much harder.
Yeah, I
Much
don't
harder.
think the first couple of times that I saw this episode, it hit me the way it hits me now.
No, good point.
Oh my God, his relationship with his daughter. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this episode.
How many times did you have to wipe tears from your eyes? 3 for me.
With his daughter, and at the end, I will admit, I got a little misty that he had that amazing life, you know.
If there's one weak aspect of an episode like this, and it's the same thing with Sydney on the Edge, is that we don't really see the effects going forward.
Yeah, you kind of want this to carry over for a couple of episodes, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we did get a follow-up, as I alluded to in the beats, and the episode lessens the following
Right.
season. So that was
Yeah.
good. I mean, it just like Family was good after the Borg incident. We got
Yes.
something of the effects of that crisis.
As you know, I am always a devotee of Ronald D. Moore, one of the greatest writers, one of the greatest editors, story editors to ever work in Star Trek. This was his comment. I've always felt that the experience in Inner Light would have been the most profound experience in Picard's life and changed him irrevocably. However, that wasn't our intention when we were creating the episode. We were just after a good hour of TV, and the larger implications of how this would really screw somebody up didn't hit home with us until later. And that's something of a danger in TV. You're so focused on just getting the show produced every week that sometimes you suffer from the can't see the forest for the trees syndrome.
I get it. Yeah.
We never intended the show to be completely upending his character and force a radical change in the series, so we contented ourselves with a single follow-up in Lessons.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. It would have been so great if this did bring a change in Picard. Not that it had to, you know, Picard's not an incomplete character, but to carry this entire life.
Well, maybe it changed in ways we didn't see as much. Who knows what's going on in his head?
Yeah. I mean, we know that being kidnapped and turned into Locutus does stick with him for years and years.
Yeah.
And I could argue that might be a little more harrowing and a little more traumatizing.
But the other side of it, though, what you discover about yourself, like maybe, you know, he becomes a mentor to somebody on the ship. Do you know what I mean? Like he whether consciously or subconsciously, he tries to regain the family that he had. My God, it's 40 years of life.
Yeah. And that actually, I mean, I haven't had kids, but I've worked with a lot of kids as a teacher and a coach and whatever. And that does change you. Like you do put more into that.
Oh my God, yeah.
As you get older.
Well, maybe we saw some of the effects of Picard, not so much in the TV series, but maybe later in Picard season 3, when he discovers he actually has a son with Beverly.
You know, I am one of the few people, I think Joe's one of the other few people who will stick up for Picard season 3. It was, or as we like to call it, Picardist.
Yes.
And you can find it in our old episodes. That was the show we were doing before this show. But I think that does come through a lot, because honestly, I think that's Patrick Stewart's story too.
Well,
I mean,
I'm sure there's a lot of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, this is a guy who's been a leader most of his life as an actor, and that's a big job too. Thank God I was never cast in that job, because I would have been terrible at it. Hey, we have got we've shown you one of the best. And thank you for choosing it, Joe. It was fantastic. We've shown you one of the best. Now let's show you one of the rest.
Yay!
Next week, we're going back to my favorite series, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, but we are going back to season 1. And what has been called, just as Inner Light has been called one of the greatest, this has been called one of the worst. It's called Move Along Home. I have not seen it since it debuted in the 90s. I hated it, so I was never going to watch it again, but I will watch it again for this show for next week. Move Along Home. Oh, man. Avery Brooks has hair. Just everything that could be wrong with Deep Space Nine is wrong with this episode. But it's Star Trek, so let's check it out next week.
And it is great. I can hardly wait.
Well, here's the thing. Because we have got to do Strange New Worlds, we've got to do it. We don't want to. We've got to do it. When it debuts in a few weeks, like three weeks? Yeah. 3 or 4 weeks. We are ending this season of Retro Trekkers, and what a beautiful, wonderful season 1 it's been. So this will be our penultimate Retro Trekkers season 1 episode. Joe, tell Mr. Kramer what our season finale for Retro Trekkers is going to be after this one.
Well, we're going to make it up to you. I mean, I'm apologizing in advance for Move Along Home, I realize. But Eric, Mr. Kramer, CPO, we are going to be looking at the menagerie for our big season finale for Retro Trek.
Oh, there you go. Well, of course. Perfect.
Yeah.
So this is the disgusting salad you have to eat before you can have your delicious fat cheeseburger.
Eat your veggies.
Scott, is bad Star Trek as good as bad pizza? One of my favorite jokes ever. I've also heard it as bad sex, even when it's bad. Still pretty good.
Still pretty good.
Beep one for yeah. Okay, so that's next week. Join us for Move Along Home. Go ahead and watch it if you can find it. I'm actually looking forward to seeing it after, oh God, it's more than 30 years now.
You know what? If you want to laugh, it's a good one.
Coming up this Thursday on Mr. Weber's Web O Mystery, also heading for its season 1 finale. I've played for you Orson Welles as Sherlock Holmes. Now I would like to play a great episode of Sherlock Holmes Radio in which Orson Welles does not play Holmes. He plays Professor Moriarty. Holmes is played by John Gielgud is Sherlock Holmes. Ralph Richardson is Watson.
Oh my God.
It is directed by Val Gielgud, the BBC executive brother of John Gielgud. It's from the 50s. 1953 was when the season began. It is really good, and I am so thrilled. I hope all the Sherlock Holmes fans show up because it's a great half hour of radio, and it's going to be a wonderful hour of streaming. I try to keep it shorter, but it doesn't always happen.
Sometimes you just have too much fun.
Oh, and Scott reminds us that Pluto has DS9 for free. So hopefully you can find Run Along Home.
If you have to watch it for hours and days, it's worth it.
And coming up on Sunday, we are going to debut the new radio show series that Joe and I will be doing, Radio Rangers WOM. It's going to be just basically the kind of fun that we already have listening to old time radio, except Joe's there. And it's going to be 90 minutes, which is great. It gives us a chance to play more than one show for you. And I have been thinking, Joe, we were listening to, oh my God, what was the last hour long we listened to? It was Maltese Falcon starring Edward G. Robinson on Lux Radio.
Yeah.
And at the end of the episode, they were advertising what was on next week for them on Lux Radio Theater. And that was Our Husbands Necessary, starring George Burns and Gracie Allen.
Oh, wow.
And everybody was like, I want to hear that. And I was like, well, we're done. Goodbye. So what we're going to do is we're going to play that one, and we'll play a little something else to go along with it. That'll be a lot of fun, and
right.
Can't wait to have the chat on that. It's going to be great. So that's coming up this Sunday. Well, you know, here's the thing. Shouldn't it be WOW, Wonderful World of Weber? Yeah, I mean, it could, but what I was thinking was WOM is the it's the initials that Joe uses on all of the art that he makes for me, and like all of our stuff is WOM. And I'm like, well, that's honestly, I think that's the next step. Let's take Webo Mystery, let's turn it into WOM, and let's just have a lot of fun listening to some old time radio. Totally works for me. So I hope
as it does for me. Yes.
Excellent. Hey, I mean, I need it to work for you, Joe. So good. Hey, be sure to check out our good friend Chris Bach. Christopher Bach has some incredible, I mean, Rule Bach, you know his name. He's got some fantastic books out there. Check him out. Go look them up. He's a funny man. You know, his stories and his characters are going to be captivating and funny. Tremors, The Great War is his latest. Just get out there, take a look at his stuff, will you? And while you're doing that, be sure to always check out joetownsend.com. Big things happening with Joe Townsend in the next few months. You've got to be pretty excited about that, Joe.
Well, I've excited myself. So as weird as that may sound, it's true.
And I had the banner up earlier. So yeah, hey, get on over to Eric Allen Kramer, home of the Kramer Grill and Bar, on YouTube. If I'm knocking wood as I say it, if everything works, tomorrow Eric and I will be shooting something new.
All right.
We still on plan?
Sliders. I want to talk to you about that after we get off.
Oh, no problem. No problem. I will just say this to the folks at home. There, I just said it. No. Hey, watch for us. We got more stuff coming in from KGB. It will be our pleasure if you can join us for that. Do we want to say what's cooking? Or do we want to keep it?
Well, I think we're going to do like some breakfast sliders. Like, you know, if you're out camping or if you got, you know, relatives over and you want to do you want to make a quick, easy breakfast that everybody can just come and like take a piece of depending on when they get up.
That's important.
Breakfast sliders. Breakfast sliders, my friend. With as much fat and butter and grease as
But why use butter, Eric?
Because it's fucking butter.
Oh, that's what I wanted to hear.
All right,
butter.
I think that does it. Thanks, everybody. What a great episode. Thanks so much, Eric. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you,
Thanks,
sir.
everybody.
Thank you,
All right, get down with the retro, and we are going to be talking to you next week. Great summer coming up, and boys, thank you very much. LLAP, you beautiful bastards.
Yes, it's Spider Hat. Sitting so pretty, way up on John's head. One move of his big spider arms, and brother, you're dead. Oh, Spider Hat, yes, it's Spider Hat. You can't escape his wrath. You're on his evil path. He's on you, his name is Spider Hat. Spider Hat, Spider Hat.